3. Everybody getting their second wind? And you've got your favorites, you've got your stories already starting to develop. New relationships as well, right? I heard there's some interesting groups on board. Anybody part of the swinger group? I'm just kidding.
Too many pineapples there.
Wait, I think I'm joking about something. I'm not.
Pineapples.
Just kidding.
No, you're
And
not.
there's a special handshake. What does that mean? Is that a red scarf in your back pocket? What does that mean? So anyway, I am so glad to be here with you, whatever time of day it is on day 3, to be doing this interview. I mean, I think the special part of the cruise are these interviews, where you get to see conversations with your favorite bands and artists. You know, behind the scenes look that you don't get, every day. So once a year we board the boat and they can tell stories that will stay here on the boat, obviously, and that are mostly true. So I'm just so pleased. The concert last night with, we're all kind of pals in a way. And what I also love about the casual nature of the cruise is how intermixed we all are, right? We're all accessible, we hang out, we breakfast, we pull our pants down in public, which I'll do later. We also don't have large security systems here. These two right here, usually a couple of bodyguards apiece wherever they go. But not here on the cruise. They stand in the wings waiting for me to introduce them like Earth, Wind, and Fire. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mighty Elements. Gareth Moulton and Nick Van Eed from the Cutting Crew. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Nick Van Eed. Actually, my first, wherever you want to sit. And by the way, it tells us something about you as to where you sit, too. I don't know what the interpretation is, but welcome, gentlemen.
It's a pleasure to be here. I don't have a red scarf.
You don't have a red scarf? No, I don't know what the symbols are on
You
the
have
boat.
a pair of red underpants on.
Which hopefully we will never see.
Exactly.
I mean, 7 years we've been doing this. You guys were on last 2019, maybe? I think. And by the way, anything we don't know, they know. They have the facts down. 2019, and that was one of my favorite concerts. I just think it's a perfect. I won't go on because they're here. And, the next band I interview, I'll slobber all over them too. I think you're one of my favorites. I think you're jolly good fellows as well, if I may.
And so say all of us.
Well, this will not be the Rolling Stone interview. That's not what we do on the boat. We just have a conversation. I will, if anybody wants to ask a few questions, maybe do a little Q&A. We tend to run out of time on these things. The thing about these cruises is that they're on schedule.
Yes.
They keep it running. No! Oh, all right. Oh, already a complaint. Do we look like customer service, ma'am? No. Fucking buzz. Level 5 over there, all right? Go talk to them. I don't like my pillow. It's been hard.
They are.
But I used to work on the cable show back in the 80s called MTV, swear to God. My next door neighbors were 2 sweet old gay guys, and they got to know me. Alan, they were from the South. Our cable's not working. Don't you work on that cable show? Come down and fix it. So I'm not a host. I'm just a fix-it dude here.
It's good to know.
I wanted to say about the how much information you lovely people retain, events, meetings, the years that things happen. And I often, when you watch one of those police dramas and they say, where were you on March the 15th, 2 years ago? Honestly, I can't remember what I did last Tuesday. It will be one of those the most awful witness in the world. So the way you retain stuff, I admire, but especially it's not in my brain. And I don't think it's anything to do with age. I'm very much a kind of day-by-day thing. If you tell me, confidently that in 2019 it was, I'll nod. It's not the way my brain works. It pisses my wife off every day.
That's not what pisses your wife off every day.
Now we're getting into it.
Yeah. So now it's the Oprah Winfrey interview. What pisses your wife off?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, why do you piss people off? What do you think that is about? We're gonna dig deep on this episode of The Cutting Crew. Yeah, we're gonna dive deep here. The memory thing has nothing to do with age because we're putting new information in all the time. We do have to slip something out the back door, I think. It's about synapse. We still have some plasticity left, I think.
I think you recreate them as well. I think
You do.
especially listening to music, and
Yeah.
it's possible to regrow those pathways sometimes.
It is, but in terms of having, a lot of people who love you and your music and over the years, it's a little daunting. I mean, from my perspective, I don't remember a lot of things that people will say. You said this Tuesday of, 2084, and I go, really? I have no memory of it. Then they bring that book up that we wrote a few years ago, and I say, just read the book because I do not remember. I think it must be interesting to people to quote lyrics to you. You said in an interview at one point, or you remember that tour back in, whenever it was, and for them to sort of complete the sentences for you. So in a way, they're your aides, your fans.
I like your synapse thing. I like your synapse.
That likes my synapse.
Got a lovely synapse.
That's a new click on board the boat, the Synapse Crew.
That you can apply to whether it be a musician or an actor or maybe a judge even or something, but there's stuff that just comes out without thinking. So lyrics, for example, I must know the lyrics to 400 songs, of which maybe 200 of them I can just, they come out. And when you're in a gig and somebody suddenly, the light pops or something and you get distracted and you come out of that bubble, it's amazing. Then suddenly you can forget everything. Like last night, Miss Cluth at the front there, laughing at me when I tripped over my lyrics in No Problem Child.
That was interesting, though, wasn't it?
I didn't notice
I was
it.
like, what's he saying?
I went to Romania. The thing is, you go Romanian. That's what you do. So you go, I picked you up and you buttered and this in Romania. And everybody's going, that's deep. Huh? What does he say?
It's sort of a mixture of Bob Dylan as well, isn't it? Bob Dylan Romanian. So,
It's like when you're greeting people whose name you can't remember, I'm always like, hey, mother, and everybody sees right through that. I think with a musician on stage and singing, it's certainly a very popular song, and you're prone to do
yeah, oh
to
yeah.
let them finish the sentence. If they know the lyrics that well, you're up deep shit if you forget it. But just to do the Bob Dylan thing, I just tonight.
Well, that'd be not that one.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty.
that would be easy to remember.
But very, very seriously, that technique is the way I've written songs for years. No laughing matter about me years. I will find a melody, and before you get working too hard on the lyrics, trying to get the combination of that killer melody and those brilliant words, don't let it go. Don't know. So I will literally just say you wanna do and get it on tape singing nonsense. And if sometimes you get really lucky because the phonetics of what you sing end up. So if you go, I'm just making you wanna you bought it. Now that may survive or it may not survive, but at least it's a starting point. So there you go, Romania. God bless Romania. Anybody ever been to Romania? There you go. Yeah.
Anybody remaining for this interview?
Hey! Wow.
Nothing. Yeah.
Wow.
I got a quick wit, but nothing else. And that's the only thing that keeps me.
Josh, you need you on the drums just to do the every time he does.
Phil Collins actually has a story about that very thing. Sussudio was built out of him with a drum pattern, and he was going just working through the initial musical part of the song. And Sussudio, which for years is like it's a deep meaning, it's the name of his daughter's horse, something like that. No, it was just phonetics, it was just words. I think that's a fun thing to talk about, and we talk about it a lot with artists. What is the muse? What is the creator for a song? We as fans always want to imbue some muse-like spirit that comes down and gives you poetic lyrics, and then you try to write some music to it. We know it's the other way around as well, but I think sometimes it's a thesaurus, and just trying to get the vibe and meter of the song and the tune can become a huge hit, and it seems like it was just built of poetry.
That's the mystery. The big hit part of it is it's a mystery, isn't it? I mean, because if you knew that, you'd be doing it every
Would
week.
you say it's a 50-50 combination? Some great songs have come as a piece of poetry on a napkin that then you had to build music around, and sometimes it really is just hard work.
Yeah, I'm a big, if not titles man, I like sayings. So in the course of this cruise, I'll have written down 20 things that I've heard. They may survive, they may get thrown away, but Gareth will vouch for me at my home studio. It's not up all the time, that would be a little bit odd, but I've got these huge 20-foot long bits of wallpaper that are blank and they must be 30 years old with all my ideas written that big, because you've got to be able to look up and see it. So they're non sequiturs, they could be, No Problem Child, it was on that list, one of the songs that became a title. And even in Die in Your Arms, Thrill to Fantasy, these lines that are there, and you look up at exactly the same time as you're playing that change to G, and you sing it, and it comes out, and you go, well, that's never going to work, or it might be the best killer idea you've ever had. And as Bowie, the non sequiturs always make the song much more important than it may actually be.
That's right. You couldn't think of anything else, and it's now mystically fabulous.
Exactly.
It's like, oh
But
my God.
the meaning, for me, the meaning arrives afterwards as well. So there's the 50-50 part is, you do the work, basically, to create something, and then the audience, whatever that may be, just listening to it, does the other portion. So they interpret it in whatever way they want. And so if you're too specific about the meaning of something, then it removes that mystical element, If it hits something in the back of your mind, that you go, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Could mean 10 different things to 10 different people, So,
And of course, songs that are now 37 years old, as I've grown older and you've grown older and the world has changed, especially with the ravages of the last few years, when you have titles like I Just Died in Your Arms, I've been in love before, and I alluded to it last night. I dedicated that song to the people that didn't make it over the last 20 years. So when I sing those songs now, as a young 26-year-old, it was all about that night in the bedroom.
La Petite Mort.
Thank you very much.
Let's go. Gee,
not
everybody
really-
know what we're talking about here? La Petite Mort? Well, of course, these are fans of yours. Let's talk about orgasms. So tell me, your wife, what pisses her off about you? What's turning you?
so I approve.
Connecting the dots.
Yeah, so
Well, that's very good technique.
Sorry.
Just ignore.
Time to start drinking again.
I can only sound like I'm changing the subject. But you get my point. The meaning of the lyrics change, and I find, without any hesitation, admitting that I'm much more involved in the lyrics of my songs now than I was back then. Doesn't mean I didn't believe them then, but singing them now resonates 20 times more, because you've got dead mums and dads and brothers, or babies, or you've moved to new places, new friends. As a younger man, your life is, you think you're the king of the world, don't you? I'm still not the king of the world, but I'm an older king of the world.
Well, you guys were not the ultimate party band back in the day. Thank God you're not Motley Crue. I mean, there's no other interpretation to girls, girls, girls. It's what it is. It's been a totally different interview.
We were just more discreet.
Well, you wrap it in a little more poetic bonnet, I guess. The idea of wanting to hook up with somebody and have sex with them. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, according to you, is different than Van Halen, perhaps. But, you started out, let's take a band like U2. They kind of started out with a sort of serious gravitas about them. They were not partying here, in songs that were relevant from the War album, even more so now today, or the Joshua Tree. Same for you, though. I think the interpretation, and I think any artist wants to leave it open for them to interpret. The video didn't help us, by the way, as people claimed that the MTV video was going to ruin your song.
Yeah.
Because now we have a visual image.
Yeah.
Look, let's go there and talk about it. It's not self-serving for me to talk about MTV. That's
Yes, it is.
why a lot of folks are here.
Completely. You just want to sell more books,
MTV
man.
does not pay me anymore, so I can give a shit, really. I slam them all day long. MTV sucks nowadays.
So what is it about MTV that really sucks?
That's harsh.
I mean, it's hard. It's not harsh. It's just reality. I tell people to move on when they say, I wish MTV would come back, or I love the old days. I'm not much of an old days talker, per what you just said. You know, we fill our brains and lives with many other things beyond our 80s decade, but we love it, and we're here to celebrate it, you know, and we have kids, hopefully not here. But the MTV days, I mean, most of you probably found out about this band via MTV, unless you were haunting the import section of your local record store. Probably they didn't know about the Cutting Crew. But as MTV became the major purveyors of the new wave of bands from overseas, mostly, that's where you heard from them. What was your first impression of what MTV was, what you had to do to be on MTV, what your record labels? And by the way, you were the first hit for Virgin Records. There's a great doc out about Richard Branson, a 6-part series, I think, on Apple or something, where I learned that you were one of the first hits for
His
them.
first number one.
Were you the first sign for them as well?
Was us, Johnny. He took a trusted course of 3 bands that had success in Europe. Cutting Crew, Johnny Hates Jazz, and Tapao. And released, we were all mates and friends on the labels, on the Virgin label in Britain. I don't know how well the other 2 boys did. I think, was it Shattered Dreams? Yeah, that did really well. But we had the number 1, and that's typical Branson, you know, that Midas touch he has. But I will just say, what's the book, Hitmen?
Oh God, yeah.
Remember who it's by? Anyway, there's a book out called Hitman, and this is, I've never ever said this in an interview before, but
You know, get your phone recorders on.
the Branson is a very clever man, but also you make your own luck, and the timing of that release coincided when all of the other major labels that he was trying to punch, you know, way below his weight against it would have been CBS and RCA and all those labels back then, they had a strike from their pluggers at exactly the same 2-month period.
And a plugger is?
So, and a plugger is the person that goes into, you know, WJPR in Kansas and tries to sell the new Cutting Crew song, including giving fridges and microwaves, you know, to Johnny to play the record. That was absolutely known practice.
Payola, here in America, yes.
So at exactly the time that we had our release with Branson, who has his own pluggers who aren't on strike, all the other major labels aren't plugging, and Died in Your Arms goes whoosh, yeah, like that. Of course it would have been number 1 anyway. But you know,
Nothing to do with Richard Branson supplying him with drugs.
You take your luck.
Future tickets on Virgin America. Well, I think, look, lucky he that he had you guys as a part of his initial thing. It's a brilliant story about how he carved that out. He was always the David and Goliath story. Same with his airlines. I don't know if you knew him or not beyond that point, or you just hitched a ride with Virgin, because you weren't with them forever, were you? Were you with
Forever.
Really?
Yeah.
Like up to the day?
Yeah, Richard, famously I played a gig in Antigua. Clunk. And
That's where and now in Antigua he has the bodyguards.
and he came on and he said, everybody would like you to introduce you to a lovely band that I signed many years ago. Please, Crowded House. We waddled on. All right.
He didn't even know what continent he was on.
Wow, that's great.
I've done that, by the way. I've introduced the wrong band on stage. You guys may say Cleveland and it's Detroit, but I've said Earth, Wind, and Fire, and it's Crowded House. Such is the travail.
Back to MTV,
of this.
yeah. That
back
was
to me.
It was, obviously that broke us. I believe I didn't live here, but you probably got sick and tired of seeing I Just Died in Your Arms on MTV. It was on heavy rotation and all that. But here's another interesting thing, that reason why bands, many bands back then probably have never earned a record royalty ever in their life. If you're the songwriter, you earn money from day one. If you're in a band of 5 and you all performed on it, that is always recouped, they say, against how much you spent making it. So back in those days, geez, we were getting sent off to country mansions for 2 weeks to record just 2 songs, and then you get fat eating, they feed you. Then another country mansion for another, then a remix in Scotland, and we shot 3 videos where the guy was Australian. We chose him on purpose, Alex Proyas, I think he was, and we chose him because he loved his stuff. And he said, okay then, we'll shoot it in Australia. And we're a British band. We went all the way down to Australia, girlfriends that looked at a record company and everything, and he shot it in a hangar.
Warehouse.
Yeah, warehouse, thank you. So, nonsense money. So this all goes against your bill. And over the years, if you're lucky, you keep selling and selling. And we sold millions of records, but you imagine how many other bands that, haven't had the fortune to sell what we've done, and there are many bigger bands than us, of course, but the ones you think are really famous and really done well, they've never had a record royalty in their life.
Big scam.
Yeah,
Big scam.
It's ugly, but that's the way it works.
I'd say the equivalent for cruisers is what they call the final bill when you hit the desk. If, like me, you didn't get the drink package. First cruise, swear to God, is a drink package. I'm not going to drink 15 drinks a day. So I went a la carte, and I got up to the checkout counter. I did have my older son and my daughter along with me for the ride, and my bill was like $900. Everybody went, yep, that's the way that goes. So I totally understand what you said.
To finish with the point about MTV,
Recoupment.
we shot 3 videos for I Just Died in Your Arms, Been in Love For, one for Mockingbird in England. When we got over, the American record company said, that's not going to work on American MTV. So we shot 3 more videos. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Wayne Isham did one for the Mockingbird, $150,000 that one cost. It went on MTV and it had flashing images. You paid it twice and it got banned.
Yeah, that was the Wayne Isham price tag. He was one of the major, up there with Russell Mulcahy, speaking of other great people.
Wonderful video.
Well, what a heady time, though. I mean, let's talk about the heyday for pop music, and as it was defined in the 80s. But I really think it was a paradigm shift for sure, because of MTV, because of the brand, because of the whole package that you had to have as a band. There were so many more expenses, but the allure of it all was delicious and tasty. We all got kind of fat and happy. You, as a younger man, you came into the band about 2015. Now, I don't know if that's your first association with Nick or not at that point, but were you a fan? We have other bands on board that have members that came late to the game or later to the game who were big fans of the group that they would then join later. Maybe you weren't a fan at all. It's just like,
I want to know this answer.
we have gotten some truth
No
here.
better time to,
Yeah.
There is an irony, because I had played Died in Your Arms before, obviously, with a covers band, back when I was 16, so it's very odd to sort of end up in that role, later. I think when we started, was it mid 2000s, isn't it, when we met?
Oh yeah, it was earlier than 2015.
I don't know if that was an
2005.
official date that you got into the band, or you had an association before that. But you had the Grinning Souls around 205.
205.
That'd be it.
Okay, I'm helping you out here.
Yeah, no, well, this is, so we're back to the same problem. And